I sent her money every week. I trusted her with everything I had. She told me I was her only one. I gave her my heart, my pension, my life savings. Then, one morning, I woke up and I was blocked everywhere. What do you think of this blue, love? Shirley held up the paint sample, her dark eyes sparkling under the hardware store's fluorescent lights. The color reminded me of the ocean we'd walk along every evening. Perfect for our bedroom wall, our bedroom, our house, our forever. Every time she said those words, something warm spread through my chest. At 54, I'd given up on finding someone who'd look at me the way she did. Whatever makes you happy makes me happy, I said, pulling out my wallet. The cashier smiled at us like we were newlyweds. In a way, we were. 6 months since I'd moved to Cebu permanently. 6 months of feeling alive again. Sir Nigel is so good to you, the young cashier said to Shirley in broken English. Shirley squeezed my hand tighter. He's not like other foreigners, she replied. He has a good heart. We're building something real together. Building something real. That's exactly what it felt like as we loaded paint cans into the tricycle. The small house we were renovating sat on a quiet street 20 minutes from the city center. Nothing fancy, but it was ours. Well, technically it was in her name for legal reasons, but she always called it ours. When we finish the guest house rooms, we'll have foreigners staying with us, she said, leaning against my shoulder as we rode home. You can teach them about Filipino culture, and I'll cook for them. We'll be like a family business. A family business. The words hit me differently than they should have. My real family back in Manchester had written me off years ago. My daughter Sarah hadn't spoken to me since the divorce. My ex-wife made sure of that. But here, with Shirley, I wasn't just existing anymore. I was building something. How much do you think we can charge per night? I asked, already doing the math in my head. My pension could cover our living expenses, and the guest house income would be pure profit. Maybe 1,500 pesos? 25 pounds for you, she laughed. Foreigners pay more for authentic experience. Authentic. That's what drew me to her in the first place. She wasn't like the bar girls in the city or the women who immediately asked about my finances. Shirley was different. Religious. Family-oriented. She'd grown up in a small village, sold beauty products online to support her mother and younger siblings. After we paint tomorrow, we should visit your family, I suggested. I want to contribute more to your brother's school fees. Her smile faltered for just a second. You don't need to do that, love. You already do so much. But I wanted to do more. For the first time since my retirement, I had purpose. Someone needed me. Someone loved me for who I was, not what I could provide. That night, as we sat on our small balcony drinking San Miguel, Shirley traced circles on my palm. You know what I love most about you, Nigel? My charming British accent? I joked. No, she said, suddenly serious. You see me. Really see me. Not just a pretty Filipina who needs rescue. You see my dreams, my heart. My throat tightened. She was right. I did see her. And she saw me. The real me. Not the bitter divorced man who'd worked 30 years in a Manchester factory. Not the father who'd failed his daughter. Just me. I see our future too, I whispered back. And it's beautiful. She kissed my cheek, tasting slightly of beer and hope. Our forever house, she murmured. Our forever house. As I drifted off to sleep that night, paint fumes still lingering in the air, I genuinely believed we were building something permanent, something real, something mine. I had no idea that in a few months I'd be sitting in this same house, completely alone, wondering how someone could vanish from your life so completely after taking everything you had left to give. You seem different, mate. Mark's voice crackled through the Skype call, his concerned face pixelated on my laptop screen. Happier, I mean. I was different. 3 months ago, I'd been rotting in my Manchester flat, drinking too much, avoiding Sarah's voicemails, wondering what the hell I was supposed to do with the rest of my life. Early retirement at 53 sounds brilliant until you realize you've got nothing to retire to. I met someone, I admitted, feeling foolish saying it to my oldest friend. Mark raised his eyebrows. Online, that's how it started. A friend from the pub had added me to a private Facebook group called Expats in Philippines, Real Talk. Mostly older British and American men sharing advice about visas, cost of living, avoiding scams. I lurked for weeks, reading their stories about starting over, finding peace, building new lives in paradise. Then she messaged me. "Hi Nigel," the message had read. "I saw your comment about missing proper fish and chips. I learned to cook British food from YouTube. Maybe someday I can cook for you. I'm Shirley, from Cebu." Her profile showed a simple girl. No bikini photos or heavy makeup like the others who'd contacted me. Just natural pictures with her family, at church, selling beauty products at local markets. She looked genuine. "We talked for 6 months before I booked my first flight," I told Mark. 6 months, mate. Every day. "What did you talk about for 6 months?" Mark asked, skepticism clear in his voice. "Everything. We talked about everything. Her childhood in a rural village, her dreams of expanding her small business, my failed marriage, my guilt about Sarah. She never judged me, never made me feel like damaged goods. 'I don't care about your money, Nigel,' she'd written one night after I'd mentioned my pension. 'I care about your soul. You have kind eyes. I can see you've been hurt, but you still have love to give.' Those words had broken something open inside me. When was the last time someone had seen my soul? When was the last time someone wanted my love instead of running from it? "She sounds too good to be true," Mark warned. "That's what I thought," I replied. "But she's real, Mark. She's nothing like what you hear about online relationships. She works hard, she's independent, she takes care of her family. She didn't even want me to send money at first. That had impressed me most. When I'd offered to help with her mother's medical bills, she'd refused. 'I can handle my own problems,' she'd said. 'I just want to know you care.' Of course I cared. How could I not care about someone who stayed up until 3 a.m. her time just to wish me good morning? Someone who remembered every detail I shared about my day? Someone who made me laugh again? 'So when are you visiting?' Mark asked. 'I'm not visiting,' I said, watching his expression change. 'I'm moving, permanently.' The silence stretched between us. Finally, Mark shook his head. 'Nigel, you can't just abandon your whole life for someone you've never met.' "What life?" The question came out harsher than I intended. "Sitting in my flat, drinking alone, watching telly? Avoiding my daughter's calls because I'm too ashamed to admit I'm miserable? That's not living, Mark. That's just waiting to die." "But what if she's not who she says she is?" "Then I'll come home," I lied. "But what if she is? What if I finally found someone who loves me for me? Shouldn't I at least try?" Mark's expression softened. He'd known me since we were teenagers. He'd watched my marriage fall apart, seen me struggle through the divorce, witnessed my slow decline into isolation. "Just be careful, yeah?" he said finally. "Promise me you won't do anything stupid with your money." I promised. But I was already planning to transfer half my savings to a Philippine bank account. Not for her, I told myself. For us. For our future. 3 days later, I was on a plane to Cebu, my stomach churning with excitement and terror. As we descended through the clouds, the island spread out below like a dream. Green mountains, blue water, tiny houses scattered along the coastline. Somewhere down there, Shirley was waiting for me. I pressed my face to the window, watching my new life grow larger with each passing second. I'd never been happier to leave everything behind. Now, sitting alone in our forever house, I understand what Mark was really asking. He wasn't wondering if she was real. He was wondering if her love was real. I should have listened to him. "Baby, I need to tell you something." Shirley's voice was different that morning, smaller, worried. We'd been living together for 2 months. The routine felt natural now. Wake up together, coffee on the balcony, her live streaming beauty products while I read or planned our guest house renovations. In the evenings, we'd walk to the local market, cook dinner, watch Filipino soap operas that she'd translate for me. "What is it, love?" I pulled her closer on the couch, feeling her tension. "My brother Jay got accepted to university. Engineering program at USC. She looked up at me with those dark eyes, uncertain. "The tuition is 40,000 pesos. My family, they don't have the money. 40,000 pesos. About 600 pounds. I did the math automatically. My monthly pension was 3 times that amount. "That's wonderful news," I said. "Jay's a bright kid. He deserves this chance. But the payment is due next week, and—" "Shirley," I interrupted her, rambling. "Of course we'll help. You're my family now. Jay is my family. Your mother is my family." The words felt good saying them. Natural. "I'll transfer the money tomorrow." The relief on her face was immediate and overwhelming. She buried her head in my chest, and I felt her shoulders shake with quiet sobs. "I was so worried," she whispered. "I didn't want to ask. I know you think Filipinas only want money from foreigners. You're not just any Filipina," I said, stroking her hair. "And this isn't about money. This is about family taking care of family." She looked up at me then with such pure gratitude and love that my chest ached. "You're different, Nigel. You're not like the others." The others. She'd mentioned them before in passing. Foreign men who'd come and gone from her life, promising things they never delivered. Men who saw her as an object, a fantasy, a convenient arrangement. I was proud to be different. The next morning, I transferred the money from our joint ATM card. We'd set up the shared account a few weeks earlier. She'd insisted it wasn't necessary, that she didn't want access to my funds, but I'd insisted back. We were partners, equal partners. "Thank you," she said, showing me the confirmation on her phone. "Jay is crying with happiness. My mother wants to cook for you this weekend." But a funny thing happened after Jay's tuition. Within a week, there was another emergency. Shirley's cousin needed money for medical bills. 2,000 pesos. Not much, but still. "I'll pay you back from my business income," she promised. "Don't be silly," I said. "We're family." The week after that, her mother's roof needed repairs. 5,000 pesos. Then her aunt's sari-sari store required new inventory. 3,000 pesos. Each time Shirley approached me with genuine reluctance, real worry in her eyes. Each time I felt proud to be the man who could solve her problems. Each time she was overwhelmingly grateful. I wasn't keeping track of the amounts. Why would I? This was what love looked like. This was what family did for each other. In my previous life, nobody had ever needed me for anything that mattered. My ex-wife had her own career, her own money, her own independence. Sarah had grown up barely acknowledging my existence. But here, I was essential. I was the provider, the protector, the solution to every crisis. It felt good to be needed. Looking back now, I realized that was exactly the feeling she was cultivating. The pride, the importance, the irreplaceable nature of my role in her family's well-being. She'd found the one thing I'd been hungry for my entire adult life, the feeling that my presence made a meaningful difference. She'd found my weakness, and she was feeding it perfectly. But I wouldn't understand that for months. At the time, sitting in our little house, watching her face light up every time I said yes to helping her family, I thought I'd found paradise. I thought I was finally living a life that mattered. "You don't understand Filipino culture," Shirley snapped, her voice sharper than I'd ever heard it. "Family always comes first here." We were fighting about money again. Not the amount, but the frequency. In 3 weeks, there had been 4 separate emergencies. Her nephew's school project, her cousin's hospital bill, her uncle's jeepney repair, her sister's birthday celebration. Each request came with tears, apologies, promises to pay me back. "I'm not saying no to helping your family," I said, trying to keep my voice level. "I'm just asking why. There's always a crisis. Can't we budget for these things?" "Budget?" Her laugh was bitter. "You think poor people can budget? You think we choose when medical emergencies happen?" She was right, of course. I was thinking like a middle-class Brit who'd lived paycheck to paycheck but never in real poverty. Here, in the Philippines, life was different. Unpredictable. Harsh. "I'm sorry," I said. "You're right. I don't understand." "No, you don't." She stood up from our dining table, her chair scraping against the concrete floor. "Maybe you should go back to England if you can't handle real life here." The words hit me like a physical blow. Go back to England? To what? To my empty flat, my non-relationship with Sarah, my meaningless days stretching into meaningless years? "Shirley, please. I didn't mean to upset you." But she was already walking toward the bedroom, her phone in her hand. I heard the door slam, then silence. I sat alone at the table, staring at the half-eaten dinner she'd prepared. Adobo chicken, my favorite. She always remembered my preferences, always tried to make me happy, and I'd ruined it by questioning her family's needs. An hour passed. I knocked on the bedroom door. "Love, can we talk about this?" No response. Another hour. "Shirley, I want to apologize properly." Silence. I slept on the couch that night, waking every few hours to check if she'd come out. She hadn't. The next morning, I tried her phone. It went straight to voicemail. I checked Facebook Messenger. The message wouldn't deliver. Her profile showed as unavailable. My stomach dropped. Had she blocked me? Had our first real fight ended everything? I walked to the bedroom door. Shirley, your phone isn't working. Are you okay? No answer. I tried the handle. Locked from inside. Panic set in then. Real, throat-closing panic. I paced our small living room, checking my phone every few minutes. Still no response. Her Facebook profile remained unreachable. It was like she'd vanished from digital existence. What if she'd left? What if she'd packed her things and gone back to her family's village? What if I'd lost her over a stupid misunderstanding about money? I couldn't lose her. Not now. Not when I'd finally found someone who loved me. Not when I'd burned every bridge back home to build a life here. By noon, I was seriously considering contacting the police. Had something happened to her? Was she hurt? Then, around 2 o'clock, I heard the front door open. "Hi, baby," Shirley said casually, carrying bags from the market. "I bought ingredients for your favorite fish curry." I stared at her, confusion and relief warring in my chest. "Where were you?" I was worried sick. "Your phone wasn't working." "Oh, that." She waved dismissively. "My phone was acting up yesterday. You know how these cheap models are. I took it to the repair shop this morning. But your Facebook was... Same problem. Everything's working now, see?" She showed me her phone, her messenger notifications lighting up normally. "Are you hungry? I want to cook something special to apologize for yesterday." The relief was so overwhelming that I didn't question the details. Her phone had malfunctioned. She'd gone to get it fixed. Simple explanation. "You don't need to apologize," I said, pulling her into a hug. "I was being insensitive. I'm sorry." No. "You have every right to ask questions," she said, melting against me. "Your money, your rules. I understand, but that wasn't what I wanted either. I didn't want rules or control. I wanted partnership. I wanted us. Our money," I corrected. "Our decisions. Together." She smiled up at me, that radiant smile that had first captivated me online. "Together," she agreed. That evening, she made the most incredible fish curry I'd ever tasted. We ate by candlelight, talking and laughing like the fight had never happened. She told me stories about her childhood, about learning to cook from her grandmother, about her dreams for our guest house. I felt foolish for panicking. Phone problems were common here. The internet was unreliable. I'd overreacted to a simple technical issue. But lying in bed that night, with Shirley curled against my chest, a small voice in the back of my mind whispered questions I wasn't ready to hear. Why had her entire digital presence disappeared simultaneously? Why hadn't she told me she was leaving to fix her phone? Why had she seemed so unconcerned about my worry when she returned? I pushed those thoughts away. This was love, real love, and love meant trust. I had to trust her, but deep down something had shifted. Some small foundation of security had cracked. I told myself it was nothing, but the crack was there now, waiting to grow wider. "Let me help you organize the inventory," I offered, watching Shirley arrange beauty products on our dining table. "I managed supply chains for 30 years. I know how to track stock and profit margins." Her hands stilled on a bottle of whitening cream. "You don't need to worry about my business, love. It's small scale, very simple." But it didn't look simple. She had dozens of products scattered around the house. Face masks, serums, supplements, cosmetics. Every few days, she'd do Facebook Live sessions, chatting with customers in rapid Cebuano while demonstrating products. "I want to understand your work better," I pressed. "Maybe I can help you scale up. We could create a proper online store, maybe even export to other countries." "Nigel." Her voice carried a warning I'd learned to recognize. "I appreciate your offer, but this is my business. I know what I'm doing." I backed off, but my curiosity lingered. She'd never clearly explained how the business worked. Customers supposedly paid through GCash or bank transfers, but I never saw order confirmations or shipping receipts. Her office was a cardboard box of products under our bed. One afternoon, while she was at the market, I decided to watch one of her old live streams. She usually deleted them after a few days, but I found one still posted from the previous week. What I saw confused me. Shirley was her usual charming self on camera, mixing face masks and explaining benefits in cheerful Tagalog. The viewer comments rolled by in real time. heart emojis, fire emojis, enthusiastic Filipino praise. But something felt off about the interaction. I used Google Translate on my phone to understand the comments. Most were generic. Beautiful 8. So galing. Where to buy, but very few mentioned specific products or asked about prices. And Shirley rarely responded directly to purchase inquiries. The viewer count showed 43 people watching, but when I refreshed the page, it jumped to 38, then 51, then back to 42. The numbers seemed to fluctuate randomly. "What are you watching?" Shirley's voice made me jump. She was standing in the doorway, groceries in hand, expression unreadable. "Your live stream from last week," I said, closing the laptop quickly. "You're a natural presenter. Very engaging. I told you I'd delete those. Why are you watching old videos?" There was an edge to her voice that made my stomach tighten. "I just wanted to understand your business better. I'm proud of what you do." She set down the groceries and moved to the laptop. With a few quick clicks, the video was gone. "I don't like keeping old content online," she said. "Privacy reasons. Privacy reasons." That was her explanation for everything I couldn't understand about her business. Private customer lists, private supplier contacts, private financial records. "How many regular customers do you have?" I asked casually. "Many," she said, busying herself with unpacking vegetables. "Why all the questions, Nigel? Don't you trust me?" Trust. The magic word that ended every uncomfortable conversation. Of course I trusted her. But trust didn't explain why her phone constantly buzzed with Gcash notifications that she'd immediately delete. Trust didn't explain why she never had inventory issues despite never seeming to restock. Trust didn't explain why her business income appeared to fluctuate wildly with no apparent correlation to her sales activity. "I trust you completely," I said. "I just want to help you succeed." "You already help by supporting me emotionally," she replied, softening. "That's more valuable than any business advice." That night, I lay awake listening to her quiet breathing. She'd fallen asleep with her phone clutched in her hand, as usual. The screen lit up periodically with notifications that she'd somehow trained herself to sleep through. In the darkness, questions multiplied in my mind like bacteria. How could someone run a legitimate business with no visible organization system? Why did she get so defensive whenever I showed interest in the operational details? Why had I never met any of her customers despite living in the same small community? But the biggest question, the one I wasn't brave enough to ask aloud, was simpler. What if her business wasn't selling beauty products at all? What if her business was me? The thought was poisonous, immediately rejected by every rational part of my brain. She loved me. We were building a life together. She had dreams and ambitions beyond whatever money I could provide. But as I drifted towards sleep, fragments of memory kept surfacing. The way she'd first messaged me online, targeting my loneliness with surgical precision. The timing of her family emergencies, always when I'd begun to relax about finances. The convenient phone malfunctions that gave her space to regroup whenever I asked difficult questions. No. I was being paranoid, suspicious. This was what happened when you'd been hurt before, when you'd been betrayed by people you trusted. You started seeing threats where none existed. Shirley stirred beside me, her hand finding mine in the darkness. "I love you," she whispered, half asleep. "I love you too," I whispered back. And I did. That was the problem. I loved her so much that I was willing to ignore the growing list of things that didn't make sense. I loved her so much that I was actively choosing blindness over truth. The phone buzzed at 3 a.m. I was awake anyway, couldn't sleep. Too much coffee, too many racing thoughts. Shirley was beside me, dead to the world, her phone face down on the nightstand. Another buzz. Another. Someone was really trying to reach her. I shouldn't have looked. I know that now. But in the blue glow of the screen, I saw a name that made my blood freeze. Nigel Thompson. Not me. Another Nigel. My hands shook as I picked up her phone. The lock screen showed message previews from Facebook Messenger. My eyes struggled to focus in the darkness, but the words were clear enough. "Good morning, my darling wife. Sending your allowance today." "Wife?" I whispered to the empty room. There were more messages. Lots more. I swiped up, but the phone was locked. I needed her passcode. My heart hammered as I tried her birthday. Wrong. My birthday. Wrong. Her mother's birthday. It worked. The messages from Nigel Thompson opened like a wound. Months of conversations. Daily good mornings and good nights. Photos of him, a gray-haired man from Liverpool, holding up fish he'd caught on his boat. Photos she'd sent him of herself in the same outfits she wore for me. Can't wait to see you again next month, his most recent message read. Already booked my flight to Cebu. We need to discuss our wedding plans properly. Wedding plans. I scrolled higher, deeper into their conversation history. He called her my darling Shirley. She called him my one and only love. The same words. The exact same words she used with me. My chest felt like it was collapsing. I kept scrolling, finding more evidence of a parallel relationship that mirrored ours in every detail. He sent her money for the same family emergencies I'd been funding. Her brother's tuition, her mother's medicine, her cousin's hospital bills. The same lies. The same manufactured crises. The same victims. Baby, what are you doing? Shirley's sleepy voice cut through the darkness. I turned toward her, her phone still glowing in my hands. She saw immediately what I'd discovered. Her face went completely blank. Who is Nigel Thompson? I asked, my voice barely working. I can explain. Explain what? Explain how you're married to another man? Explain how you're taking money from both of us for the same fake emergencies. She sat up, suddenly fully awake. It's not what you think. Then tell me what it is. I nearly shouted. Tell me why another man thinks you're his wife. Tell me why you're lying to both of us. Nigel, please. You're scaring me. I'm scaring you? I laughed, but it came out like a sob. I'm not the one living a double life. I'm not the one who has 2 boyfriends sending money every week. He's not my boyfriend. It's complicated. He's lonely, and he sends money sometimes, but it doesn't mean anything. Doesn't mean anything? He's planning your wedding, Shirley. He thinks you're going to marry him. She was fully awake now, calculating. I could see her mind working, searching for the right combination of words that would make this okay somehow. I never told him we were getting married. He assumed things. I can't help what he assumes. You called him your one and only love. The same thing you call me. Words are just words, Nigel. Actions matter. I'm here with you, not him. While taking money from both of us, I never asked for money from anyone. You both offer because you care about me. The gaslighting was so smooth, so practiced, that for a moment I almost believed her. Almost let her rewrite reality in a way that absolved her of responsibility. But the evidence was right there in my hands. Months of deliberate deception, 2 complete relationships, carefully compartmentalized, expertly maintained. How many others are there? I asked quietly. Others? How many other Nigels? How many other lonely foreign men sending you money while thinking they're your only love? There are no others, just you and him. And it's ending with him. I was going to cut contact. Another lie. I could see it in her eyes, hear it in the rehearsed way she delivered the words. Get out, I said. What? Get out of my house. Get out of my life. Take your things and leave. Nigel, please, let me explain properly. This isn't who I am. This is exactly who you are. This is exactly what you've been doing to me for months. Making me feel special while running the same scam on other men. She started crying then. Real tears, or tears that looked real. I love you, Nigel. Only you. The other thing is it's just survival. You don't understand how hard life is here. I understand perfectly. You're a predator. You find lonely, desperate men, and you bleed them dry. Don't say that. Please don't say that. But I was finally seeing clearly. The fog of love and loneliness and desperate hope had lifted, and the truth was brutal and undeniable. I wasn't special. I wasn't different. I wasn't the man who'd finally won her heart. I was just another Mark. Another lonely fool sending money to a woman who saw me as a business opportunity. I want you gone by morning, I said, setting her phone on the nightstand. Where will I go? I don't care. Go to Nigel Thompson. Go to whoever else is funding your lifestyle. Just get away from me. She cried harder, but I was beyond caring about her tears. They were just another tool in her arsenal, another way to manipulate emotions she'd never actually felt. I walked to the couch, leaving her alone in our bedroom, our forever house, our beautiful lie. In a few hours, the sun would come up, and I'd have to figure out how to rebuild a life from the rubble of complete betrayal. But first, I had to survive the night with the truth. She was gone by morning, just like I demanded. No goodbye, no final explanation, no last-ditch attempt to salvage our relationship. The bedroom was empty except for the faint smell of her perfume and a few beauty products she'd forgotten on the dresser. I told myself I felt relieved. Finally, the truth was out. Finally, I could stop wondering why nothing about her business made sense, why her family always had emergencies, why she got so defensive about simple questions. But relief felt more like emptiness, like falling. 3 days passed in a blur. I didn't leave the house, barely ate, just sat on our couch, staring at the blue paint we'd chosen together for the bedroom wall. The paint I'd paid for. The room I'd planned to wake up in beside her for the rest of my life. On the 4th day, I decided to check my finances, face the damage, figure out exactly how much I'd spent on our fake forever. I opened my banking app, expecting to see the usual monthly pension deposit minus living expenses and whatever family emergency I'd funded that week. The account was empty, not just low. Empty. £0 and 0 pence. I refreshed the app, certain it was a glitch. The balance remained unchanged. My hand started shaking as I scrolled through recent transactions. There it was. 3 days ago, the same day she'd disappeared. My entire pension payment, $2,847, withdrawn in a single Gcash transfer. She'd cleaned me out completely. I called the bank immediately, my voice breaking as I explained the unauthorized transaction to the customer service representative. "I see the transfer, Mr. Wilson," the woman said in her professional telephone voice, "but it appears to have been initiated from your joint account using the authorized ATM card. It wasn't authorized by me. Is the other account holder someone you no longer trust with access to your funds?" The other account holder. Shirley, who I'd added to my account because we were partners, because we were family, because I trusted her completely. "She stole from me," I said. "I understand this is distressing, but legally, both parties on a joint account have equal access to all funds. There's no theft if she used the proper authentication. No theft. Just betrayal so complete it felt like death." I hung up and immediately tried calling Shirley. The number was disconnected. I checked her Facebook profile. It showed as unavailable. Messenger wouldn't deliver messages. She'd blocked me everywhere and vanished with my pension. 2 hours later, I was at the local police station, trying to explain to an officer who spoke limited English that I needed to report fraud. "Sir, if she have your ATM card, and you give permission, this is not illegal," the policeman said patiently. "This is domestic problem. Domestic problem." Like we'd had a simple disagreement about household expenses. "She's been taking money from multiple foreign men," I tried to explain. "She's running a scam. You have evidence of this?" I thought about Nigel Thompson, about the messages I'd seen on her phone, but I had no screenshots, no proof beyond my own testimony. She was dating other men while dating me, taking money from all of us. The officer shrugged. "Dating multiple people is not crime, sir. Taking money from joint account is not crime. Maybe you choose wrong girlfriend, but this is not police matter." I walked home defeated, understanding finally that there would be no justice, no recovery of my funds, no punishment for what she'd done. That evening, I sat in our forever house with exactly 43 in my checking account and nothing coming in for another 3 weeks. The electricity would be cut off soon. The water might follow. I'd given her everything. Not just my money, but my trust, my future, my foolish heart. And she'd taken it all, burned it down, and disappeared like I'd never existed. The worst part wasn't the money. The worst part was understanding how thoroughly I'd been played. Every sweet word, every gentle touch, every moment of seeming intimacy had been performance. Professional-level emotional manipulation designed to keep me sending funds until there were no funds left.